watching ESPN FC.
Hello, welcome to the show. I'm Dan Thomas, joined today by Shaq Hislop and Stevie Nichols. Julien Laurent be with us a little later on. But we'll start with the man you just seen. Manuel Neuer sat down and chatted to Sebastian Salazar. Sebi started off by asking him about that defeat against Liverpool in the Champions League.
Yeah, in the last season, we played against a very good team, Liverpool, the winner of the Champions League. And we have to say that Liverpool was 2 times the better team. And so we had to say, yeah, you have to move on because you were better. And so in next season we are so motivated to go on in Champions League and to do it to the final and to win it again. But it will be very hard and strong. We know it, and yeah, but we have our goals as well.
How often do you think about that second leg match against Liverpool?
I think about both matches because I think in 2 matches we get maybe 3 chances for us, and it's not Bayern Munich like, and so on. We have to do it a little bit different in the next season, and we had to create more chances and to have had a better form in the future.
You gain some players, but you lose some players as well. When you see a player like Mats Hummels leave, but also leave to the team that's most likely to be your chief rival next season, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy because it was so close in the Bundesliga in last season, but we know it. Our biggest rival in Bundesliga is Borussia Dortmund, and they did a great job in the summer, and they had some new players, and they had a great team. But we will move on, and we already had 8 titles in a row, and we will go for the 9th.
Do you prefer a close race in the Bundesliga or to win it by April?
I prefer to win it by April.
Why?
Yeah, because you see that we have a strong team, that you can see we are the better team and we deserve it to win the title. And if it's really close, someone can say, it was so close. In my opinion, Dortmund was better or something like that. So if you are early in the season or in the second part of the season to win the Bundesliga title, you can say, oh, we deserve it, we have a great team and we have done our job.
A couple of weeks ago, your agent came out and said that there were some concerns maybe about Bayern's willingness to match your ambitions. Do you share those concerns?
I think he already says that we have lost a little bit distance to the clubs of England. He meant Tottenham, Liverpool, and in EuroLeague, the 2 teams of England has gone to the final, and that was the opinion of him. And I think important for us is to have a good Champions League season, and then everything is good.
Do you need to add some players for that Champions League success?
I think now our bosses are doing their job. They want to concentrate to get the right players for us for this season, and then I think we have a great team.
What would you think about playing with a guy like Gareth Bale?
It's a great player, but we trust our bosses, so they have time in the period to pick up some new players for our team, but Gareth Bale is a good player, of course.
People always talk about like top 5 goalies in the world, and your name always comes up. Do you consider yourself a top goalie in the world?
I think I'm a top goalie, but I don't know. I'm not talking a lot about myself. I always want to do a good job, want to be there for my teammates, and want to catch the ball.
Did you consider yourself a top goalie, Shaq?
While I was playing, you mean?
Well, not now, clearly.
No.
You must have thought, though, no? Do you not have to go out there thinking of the business?
Listen,
Is that just
when you're playing, that's the furthest thing from your mind. You
Right.
just focus on your own game. You admire everybody else. You focus on what you do, and let people make those judgment calls.
Interesting stuff there from him. Stevie, what stood out for you?
To be honest, he stood out for me. I thought he was completely and utterly, thoroughly professional and said exactly what you should say.
Right.
When asked about what are the club doing, he said, the bosses are in charge, I trust them. And again, at the end, Shaka's right. When somebody says, were you the best goalie? Or are you a great goalie?
Right.
Again, the perfect answer. I mean, just what a top pro he is.
You know, it stood out for me when Sebastian asked him about that second leg against Liverpool, and it sums up who he is and maybe who Bayern Munich are and who many top players are, in saying it's not about one leg, it's about both. And I thought that Bayern Munich were disappointing in both legs. That's why he went out. And it just shows the difference between a player at a top club like Bayern Munich and their mentality and how we see it as fans on the outside.
Well, Sebastian Salazar is with us now in LA, still very much with the Bayern team. What's the general vibe been like since you've been with them, Seb?
Yeah, I mean, as you saw in the interview, and I'd agree with the guys, very professional there from Neuer. I did take a few other things from the interview, though, that may be a little different from what Stevie and Shaka are saying. And it wasn't in the part that we ran there, but he used the word interesting to describe the future at Bayern Munich. And it wasn't the interesting you use in a good way. It was the interesting you use when you don't want to offend anybody. So I think right after that, he dove into a bunch of cliches. He got kind of uncomfortable. It was a sense that internally maybe there is some doubts about the future. And to the point that the boys made about the question about Liverpool, I specifically asked him about the second leg against Liverpool. You know, obviously we remember the gaffe he had in that match, but he answered about both legs and about the lack of chances for Bayern Munich and that it was un-Bayern Munich-like. And that to me was saying, I need more help, which goes right in line with the comments that his agent made 3 weeks ago, kind of suggesting that Bayern Munich's ambitions weren't right now at the level of Neuer's.
Let's bring Julien Laurent into the show, shall we? Jules, it's interesting, isn't it? Bayern, you just feel, have lost their fear factor over the last couple of seasons, despite the fact, obviously, they won the Bundesliga. It was the manner in which they got knocked out by Liverpool, which I think surprised a lot of people, and there's a lot of rebuilding to be done now.
Yeah, completely. I mean, if you think about it, the last won the Champions League in 2013 at Wembley against Borussia Dortmund, and since then, even under Pep Guardiola, they've never really managed to get to the highs of that season and to compete with whether that was Barcelona or Real Madrid in some of Pep's years, or obviously against Liverpool last season, or even the season before that. Maybe they took too long to think about the future instead of thinking about the present, and by that I mean they should have replaced Robben and Ribéry a long time ago, not just this summer. And even this summer, they still haven't properly done it. I mean, Coman, if he stays fit, will feel like a new signing. And on the other wing, they still need another player there. But at least they're rebuilding at the back because Lucas Hernandez and Benjamin Pavard are two very good signings for them. So you see what they're trying to do. They still have a lot more money to spend if they want to this summer. And I think Neuer said it in the interview as well. We fell behind the English clubs especially, and I think you could see that by their results in Europe.
Ribéry gone, Hummel's gone, Robben retired. They've spent money. Obviously, as Jules mentioned, they brought in a couple of World Cup winners, Hernandez and Pavard. A lot of money for fullbacks, though, and there's still a lot of work to be done.
They've got a mountain of work to be done. You know, Pavard and Hernandez are, again, like most players today, overpriced. I mean, Hernandez, 80 million plus, come on. He's not on anybody's radar of the real top clubs, in my opinion, at either right back and centre back. And that's where I'm told he plays. So, Pavard, yes, he's a really good player. But Bayern Munich's problems in the Champions League, particularly against Liverpool, where they were slow at the back, they had no strength at all to stop Liverpool in the middle of the park, and they were soft up front. They had a guy standing up there on his own in Lewandowski. So, you know, they've made two decent signings who are not worth the money that they were paid for, by the way. They were overpriced, and that's all they've done. So no wonder Neuer's agent, like all agents today, is complaining for his player.
Jules, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, we've talked a lot about transfers over the last couple of weeks. Bayern Munich haven't been mentioned at all. Earlier on in the summer transfer window, we mentioned Leroy Sané. That seems to have gone quiet. But Stevie's quite right. If Bayern want to be up there with the big boys, they need to spend, and they need to spend big to bring in reinforcements.
Yeah, you're right. We also talk about Timo Werner, to play up front. Instead, they bought Arp, who is a very promising and good talent, youngsters, but it's not the like of Lewandowski or even Timo Werner. And for Sané, the fact that they didn't want to put their bid higher and to go to what City wanted, which was a lot of money for Leroy Sané, but he's still a player that would improve their team by a mile as well. It was quite surprising because the money is there, it's available. You know, it was their choice not to go for the sort of, you know, 85 million euros or a bit more than that maybe for Sané. Whether it's probably worth it, to be fair. But even in midfield, I agree with Stevie as well. They need more steel in there, and they need more players. Although Tolisso is going to come back as well from injury, but it's a very interesting project because the money is there. It's still a huge club. Fan base is amazing. The infrastructures are great, and yet, like you said, they're not really linked with any of the top players, you know, apart from in their own countries, like the Timo Werner, like Kai Havertz or Julian Brandt. He even chose to go to Dortmund and not to Bayern Munich. So they have a lot of work to do there, and it's quite concerning in a way.
Now, Sebi, you spoke to one man who is very much involved with this project, Lothar Matthäus. It's an interview you can see in tomorrow's show. But what stood out from you from your chat with him?
Well, no shortage of opinion ever from the World Cup winner. He talked about Leroy Sané, Ousmane Dembele. He had a very clear preference between those two for Bayern Munich. You'll see that in the interview. He also had a very sharp opinion on Gareth Bale. Does not think he'd be a good fit at Bayern Munich. You'll see why in the interview as well. If I could just mention one more thing, guys, to follow up on Stevie's point about the comments from Neuer kind of trusting our bosses. He said that twice in the time that we were sitting down. You could say it's faith in the board at Bayern Munich. You could also say it's pointing out that the board at Bayern Munich has very clear work to do. It was echoed by Thomas Müller when we spoke with him. He said they need at least 2 or 3 more players. So you get a sense from this veteran core, they're a little bit uneasy about the future and whether they can still compete.
Of course, there was the traditional pictures of the interview. Sebi looking happy there with Manuel Neuer. He mentioned that he interviewed Thomas Müller as well. Just take a look at Thomas Müller's toes. He is on tippy toes.
There's a bit of a common denominator here.
To rub in the fact how tall he was compared to you, Sebi. You seem to have taken it well.
Do I have any choice? I mean, what else can I do on this show? I will say this. You know, you kind of think you know what a guy's like. Müller, you see him on the field. Could have been like nicer, more jovial, more of a happy-go-lucky guy. They just come off a 12-hour flight. So he was in a great mood. And look, with what I deal with on this show, another short joke, who cares? I would just like to say for the record, I am legally and thankfully taller than Dan Thomas. Back to you.
Legally? €7 all in. Doesn't this seem like a really good deal overall when we're talking about, for example, Harry Maguire at £80 million? How have they pulled this off?
That was the price. I mean, it was the price from the beginning. This summer from Ajax to whoever was interested, it would be 75 million euros or nothing. There was a time maybe, especially last summer, where Ajax told Mino Raiola and Mathis de Ligt that 50 million could be enough. But after the season he just had, the price was always 75 million. And to be fair, you're right. I think it does feel like this is a really good deal for Juventus. It would have been a good deal for a lot of clubs in Europe, to be fair, considering how good the player is and still how young he is and how much room for improvement there is amongst all that talent. So, you know, well done to Juventus. There was a time where they didn't look favourite at all, where Barcelona and then PSG were definitely way ahead of them in the race to sign De Ligt. But in the end, the club have done really well to finally sign him.
Meanwhile, in Madrid, of course, they're looking to get rid of Gareth Bale in any way possible. Marca thought maybe they had found a way. Bale tiene una salida. Bale has a way out, going to Spurs. That's what Marca reported. And then Jonathan Barnett came out, this Gareth Bale's agent, saying, I don't comment on rubbish. Is it rubbish, Jules?
Completely rubbish. There's absolutely no way this could happen. There's no way Spurs, even if they wanted, could afford Gareth Bale in terms of transfer fee or even more in terms of wages, considering he's on 15 million euros net a year. So for once, I agree with Jonathan Barnett, that is rubbish.
It's interesting because Julian emphasised that for once on Jonathan Barnett, who has become this kind of fun figure in all of this, Shaq. And he used to be your agent.
Yes.
And I know it's someone who you highly respect.
I do. And I tell you what, Jonathan Barnett being in the press as much as he has and seeing some of the things that he has over the last 18 months to 2 years, I'm starting to figure this is one thing and one thing only. Gareth Bale does not want to move. And now somehow Jonathan Barnett has got to put himself in the firing line in both defence and protection of his client, which is what good agents should do. All that being said, how or why Gareth Bale does not want to move is beyond me. It goes against just about everything I know and felt and experienced as a player. Just wanted to sit on a healthy salary without any real option of playing football. Kind of goes against what we do and our mindset.
Is this it for Gareth Bale? We're just going to see him playing the Copa del Rey?
He's kind of put himself in that position. And I think another reason why you hear the agent talking is because Gareth is just saying, I am saying nothing.
Yeah.
I am staying where I am, and that's it. I don't see how he moves. No, nobody's going to pay him the money he's getting.
No,
Nobody's going to spend the money they want on a transfer, certainly for between now and I would say the next 6 months. The next 6 months is going to be the test because somebody's going to break. Either the club are going to break or he's going to break.
Is there not, like, part of you... I imagine you all had people you looked up to within football. Are you surprised that no one's reached out to him who's retired, who is like you guys, who knows what it's like to look back and maybe think, I wish I played a little bit longer, I wish I'd done this, that and the other, that someone hasn't touched base with him and said, Gareth, you've got 4 years left of your career. Do you really want to spend it sat on the bench?
I'm sure any number of people have tried. But how do you say to somebody, you know, tell them what they should do?
Yeah.
It's a very personal situation that Gareth Bale is going through or any other player is going through in whatever issues they may have. And just going back to Gareth Bale again, and speaking from my own first-hand experience and knowing how Jonathan Barnett would think, he would be saying to Gareth Bale, listen, if you've got 3 years left in your contract, I can get you that same money over 5 years, let's say.
Right.
And then at least you keep yourself in the shop window, maybe you get another year or two out of the game, and that's icing on the cake, as it were. But if you just sit in Madrid on that money for 3 years, that's the end of your career. The fact that this whole Gareth Bale situation or standoff has dragged on for as long as it has, given what I am certain Jonathan Barnett would be saying to him, again, suggests to me that Gareth is very happy with how much he's earning, where he's living, and probably does not see his career going any further than this Real Madrid contract.
If he had a good mate in football, then they would be straight with him and they would be honest.
Yeah.
And the only thing they should say is, you know what, you've got 4 years left to do something when you were a kid you wanted to do all your life. You've got all these medals, you want to play. And the second question is, how much is enough money? That's the real question a friend should say to him. You want to sit on your backside and not play the thing that you love most for the sake of more money? That's what a good friend should be saying to him.
Well, for a long time was that they were not talking enough to the fans, you know, on behalf of the club, but even, you know, for the players and people working at the club. I think it's a very good thing that Josh Kroenkes wrote that letter. You can see where he's coming from with all the criticism that him and his father have been the target from Arsenal fan. And also, I think it was quite stupid from a long time for Arsenal fans or whoever saying that the Kroenkes family was there just for the money and not for the trophies and not to win. It's not good at all for them, for the Kroenkes, that Arsenal don't qualify for the Champions League, that Arsenal are not competing for trophies and for titles. That's not in their interest whatsoever. It's not good for business, it's not good for their name, and it's certainly not good for the club they own. So yes, of course they want to win, and right now they can't afford some of the players that other clubs in England and in Europe can afford. They don't have the money to spend like others can. There's financial fair play. They can't spend more money than they earn. And already when he says that they're Champions League, they're a club that pays Champions League wages with a budget from the Europa League, that's exactly what it is. And that's the problem. And whether the ownership was the Kroenkes family, the Dan Thomas family, the Stephen Nichols family, or whoever else, it would be the same issue for everyone.
What a mess, isn't it, boys? Something when your statement is, I'm trying to win.
Yeah.
It's like, right, great.
I mean, you kind of go from, it's either feast or famine. They either don't talk, and when they do, it's just nonsense. I mean, what, 3 or 4 years ago, you've got Ivan Gazidis saying that, you know, we can battle with anybody for the biggest players in the world. Yeah. So what's happened to that? And then I think the other thing is, we've been criticising Man United about what's going on behind the scenes. That's exactly what's been happening at Arsenal. The only problem for Arsenal was we were all concerned about Arsene Wenger.
Yeah.
So he's kind of taken the focus not just from us, but probably from them as well. Where now they're at a stage where they've basically got to rebuild. That's what they're doing.
Here's the challenge here. As much as you want to sympathise or may want to sympathise with that statement, Stan Kroenke has been, at the very least, on the board of Arsenal for nearly 15 years now. So if you're still talking about timelines, I'm not sure what hope Arsenal fans are holding out for, or you're hoping that they hold out for.
It's not the most optimistic, is it, of summers for Arsenal fans? If you want to be cheap, hates Eden Hazard. We talk about Stevie Nicol' pre-season trip to Cancun and why it upset Mrs. Nicol. We also discuss why Stevie hates American comedies. Canned laughter.
What an eclectic mix.
I know, exactly.
I know. Well, I can't be doing with canned laughter.
Right.
It just irritates me. It takes my focus off the actual programme.
Because you're a very focused man.
Well, because... Well, it seems like American comedies are always kind of quick fire with stuff, you know?
Right.
But then every time you throw a canned laughter in, it's like, it's so annoying. So by the time I've stopped complaining, I've missed the next joke, and then all I hear is canned laughter again.
We also discuss whether or not shepherd's pie should have peas in it. It really is sophisticated stuff on Extra Time. Be sure to check it out.
Educational.
Till next time, goodbye. Welcome into Extra Time. Thank you for your tweets. Lots today to get through. Starting off with who's the better signing, Griezmann or Hazard?
Hazard.
You didn't even stop the things, Stevie.
No. Hey, if I'm picking a team,
Yep.
you know, one of Shaka's teams?
Yep. Xhaka's team that's always got Iron Robin in it.
He's always got Iron Robin in it, aye. So the Iron Robin on one side,
Yep.
and Hazard on the other side.
You can't have Hazard.
Would
On the same side.
No, they don't.
Robin and Hazard.
Excuse me?
Oh yeah, Robin cuts in.
Thank you very much.
All right, okay.
Thank you.
Because you can't drop Robin. I agree. I think Hazard's the better signing. Certainly the more needed signing.
Should we go to the Frenchman?
Well,
we know what he's.
We
know what he's going to say.
biased.
We know what he's going to
You know
say.
my answer.
He's so...
You know my answer. I don't even know why you're coming to me. You know my answer anyway.
Why do you hate Eden Hazard?
Because it's not French.
That's it.
Griezmann every day.
What was the most interesting thing in a pre-season tour you would look forward to?
Nothing.
I'm sure none of this can be published.
Days off. First day off, yes.
What did you do? Because at least now there's kind of tablets, video games. Like, what did you do? Like,
Have a guess what we did.
drank?
Yeah, of course
Brilliant.
we did. What did you do?
We're doing every day off.
Hey,
It didn't have to be pre-season for that.
It's the only time we got up early, the day off to get out.
Should we tell the Revs pre-season story?
No.
Yeah, you can tell it. I think that's okay.
Which one? Oh, Cancun.
Cancun.
Oh, dear.
Wow.
Well, I didn't realise. So I found out 2 or 3 months before pre-season was starting, the end of the other season, that we were going to Cancun. So I'm like, it's a bit of a holiday place, but, you know, it'll be all right. And then I found out it was spring break. I'm taking 22 between 20 and 28-year-olds to Cancun on spring break. I'm like, how am I going to look after this mob? Honest to goodness, it wasn't easy.
Who behaved the worst, the players or the coaches?
Well, see, this is the bit that you don't understand.
Don't give me this.
In order to catch them red-handed, you have to go out to the places and see whether they're there or not.
Undercover, so you were undercover.
You just went to the clubs?
I'll tell you a cracker. So the coaching staff, myself and a friend of ours called Brian Howe, who was a singer of Bad Company,
right?
We'd gone out for lunch, right? And it turns out the place we went to during the day, it's you know, it's a bit of a lunch place and people hang out and that. But at night time, it's a club,
right? And
they have a stage. And so what we did was we organised that if the owner would let us all in at night, Brian would do a couple of songs, and we'd be square, you know. And it was one of those places where the drink was free.
Sure.
So sure enough,
everybody's a winner.
We had a nice time, behaved ourselves, really good. But it was absolutely jam-packed.
Okay.
And there's no question we were the oldest people there.
Right.
The following morning, I'm on the phone with the wife.
Yes.
And she said, "Oh, what did you do last night?" I said, "We just had a couple of drinks and, you know, nothing particular." She went, "Oh, so you never went to a club?" I was like, "Hey? What do you mean?" She goes, "Oh, well, I was talking to my friend Karina, and her son had spoken to her, and his friend had been in the same club as you were in."
Yes.
I said, "Well, we didn't stay long.
You were giving it away.
We didn't stay long.
Yeah, right.
With a couple of beers and we left."
Yes.
I like how you went from this is a lovely lunch place to we're singing some songs at night.
We're on the
Lovely lunch place.
Right. The drinks were free and you only stayed for a couple. Yes. There is the whole of the story.
So many holes in that story.
Yeah, that's-
so many holes.
Right, Jules, no E. Would you rather Neymar stay or leave with the attitude he's been generating? And if you were in PSG's position, would you accept a lower amount than what you bought him for and or swap a player deal?
Yeah, I
Covered
think he
most
has to
things.
go now. I think at the club, people at the club as well wouldn't want to keep him if he didn't want to be there, and he certainly doesn't want to be there. Thomas Tuchel, after the win against Dresden tonight, said that Neymar told him before the Copa America that he didn't want to be there anymore, that he wanted to leave the club. So, you know, it's not just, it's been going on for a long time, and I think people at the club, Thomas Tuchel, although he's still a PSG player and he still has 3 more years on his contract, I think everybody acknowledges that it'd be better for everyone if he goes.
Hold on. If Julian was in charge of PSG, I'm asking you, Julian, how much would you accept for Neymar? Me and Stevie have a team that we're
It
building.
depends. Obviously, it depends the 2 players that would come in the deal.
No,
if he's,
we are buying Neymar from you. Straight cash. How much are you accepting?
I want the money I paid for him.
Ooh, you got no chance.
If you put only cash, I want the
chance.
money I paid for him every
miles
day.
on the clock.
No.
He's not
No.
coming
I
to our
don't do
team, is
business
he,
with
Steve?
you anyway.
Well, you're stuck with him
Go
now.
back to your club in
Hey, that's
Cancun.
why
I don't do
Jules,
business
that's why
with you.
Jules is not a manager, because
Yeah, that's right.
that's the first
We
mistake.
stick with Hazard and Robin.
Yes.
In honour of the Emmy nominations, I think we missed out again, boys.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a shock.
What's an Emmy?
Does the ESPN FC crew prefer watching comedy or drama TV shows? What do you prefer, Stevie?
It's easy.
Well,
for
see,
me.
that's a tester.
That's not a tester.
I've got to tell you, and we're talking about America here.
Okay.
No, are we?
Well, talk about whatever you want.
I would say drama,
Right.
because I don't particularly get the American humour.
Okay.
It's completely different to ours. Completely.
And we all know how you feel about Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask him, who was that guy you're getting him picked for dinner? Yeah, that was Rodney.
No, Rodney's brilliant, but it's not.
I'm
It's not
just
like
saying, well, you know, if it was
doesn't- he
Rodney
doesn't- no, he's a
Dangerfield
stand-up.
comedy, that's a winner. We all know.
there's not that many of them, though, is there?
Oh.
Right.
Comedy, easy.
Comedy?
Yeah.
What's your top American comedies maybe you could recommend?
Seinfeld. I
Yes.
still watch
Yeah, you can still
Seinfeld
rewatch
reruns
Seinfeld, yeah.
non-stop.
Yeah.
They come on 11 o'clock at night, local television, 2
Yeah.
episodes back to back. Drives my wife crazy because I just sit there laughing my head off.
So you like canned laughter, then, basically?
Seinfeld isn't a canned
That's
laughter.
the one thing I hate about
Seinfeld is
a
not
lot of them.
canned laughter.
Even Seinfeld's got canned laughter in it.
No.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they say. Ha, 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 ha.
No, Seinfeld.
Oh, and he said.
Seinfeld is not canned laughter.
Of course it is.
I'm not having it. Move on before I get angry.
Nonsense.
And there's some drama.
Curb Your Enthusiasm is very good as well.
To be honest, I only watch Seinfeld. Nobody lets me watch TV more.
Jules?
A drama for me.
Yes? Oh, that was very...
Yeah.
Very sophisticated, Jules. A bit like myself.
What's a realistic expectation for Pulisic coming into his first season in the Premier League with a hazardless injured transfer banned Chelsea side? Well, I think that was on the press release.
I'll tell you what, a success for him
Yeah.
would be, during this season, getting himself in a position where he's in the starting 11 consistently.
Wow.
That's success. And if you're looking for more, that's unrealistic and unfair to him.
Agreed. I think if he finishes the season, say, playing the last 10 games, he's done well enough to establish himself as a first-team regular and a name on your team sheet in the last 10, take that all day. I don't see it starting that way, but you take the end, yeah.
Final one. Question on behalf of my wife, Susanna Green. Following a conversation we had in the car, does Stevie prefer his shepherd's pie with peas or without?
Oh, with peas.
Yes?
Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, look how excited he just got. Wow.
I'm missing my shepherd's pie. I've not been eating potatoes for a while.
No, you've lost some weight, haven't
That's
you?
a couple of, but that means I'm not shepherd's pie for a while.
What kind of diet? What's your diet again?
I'm trying to get off the carbs.
So just no carbs?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the other one? What was the other one?
The Cater
Yeah,
one.
it didn't
Cater
suit
one
me.
went bad. That went south in Madrid.
Yeah, that went. Yeah, Madrid got on the way of that one.
Very much, Len. That's it. Thank you very much to everyone for your questions. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got an exclusive interview with Lothar Matthäus.
I'm coming in for that.
Are you?
Yeah,
Are
I'm coming
you in
for
tomorrow,
that.
boys?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, now that
No.
you mentioned Lothar Matthäus, I'm in.
All right, Shaq. Me and you tomorrow, mate.